Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to walk you through your learning today, which is the Writing to Westfield Part 2. So we're going to start with reviewing some vocabulary in our Amplify notebook. We're going to look at Chapter 2 key concepts. We are going to read an email from Dr. Young. I'm going to walk you through using a modeling tool on how REST formed. And then lastly, we have the Writing to Westfield Part 2. I just remind you that at any point in the lesson today, if you get confused or you're not sure what to do, please reach out and let me know, okay? Because these writing pieces are very important. So let's start with the vocabulary. So you're going to open up your Amplify notebook, and we are going to do the vocabulary today. So we're going to do the vocabulary for extended structure, which is a structure formed by repeating groups of atoms that link together. And we're going to do the vocabulary term for molecule, which is a group of atoms joined together in a particular way. We're going to pay close attention to molecules and how they're formed, whether or not they are a group of repeating single atoms of the same element, or they form an extended structure. So if you have any of these vocab terms missing on your glossary, you want to pause the video and type them into your Amplify notebook. All right, so just a reminder, the people of Westfield, their water is contaminated with rust. We now know it's rust, and we wrote a paragraph that it is rust that has formed, and that we know that all three properties of the substances are different because they're made of different groups of repeating atoms. So we need to remember key concept 3 today, all right? That's an important thing to recognize, all right? And that the water in the well has fertilizer, but the water that's coming out of the faucets is rust. So one of the things that we are going to look at today is explaining to the people of Westfield how the rust formed, all right? And in the labs, we were looking at reactions to understand how substances can change. So what we're going to do now is, let's see here, what slide is this? Slide 16, all right, on slide 16, you are going to be typing in the key concepts 5, 6, and 7 if you don't have them. So key concept 5 is that during a reaction, one or more starting substances, which we call reactants, change into one or more different substances, which we call products. So that's a key concept that we're going to convey in our writing today. Key concept 6 is that during a reaction, atoms do not change from one type to another. And key concept 7 is that during a reaction, atoms rearrange to form different groups of atoms. So that is another important key concept that we want to convey in our writing is 5 and 7. Now, on slide 17, we get a new email from Dr. Samara Young. You want to read through the email and take some notes. Some key things that we want to talk about in our email from Samara Young is that we've identified the mystery substances rust, and now we need to explain how the rust form. Now, rust can form naturally over time when iron is exposed to water or air. So I looked into another neighborhood that uses a similar well system to see if the rust had formed in their water too. I want to add as a note here that rust can form naturally with air and water. That's an important thing to realize, okay? Now, however, when they went to the nearby neighborhood, none of the neighbors reported problems with rusty water. I didn't find any fertilizer in the sample as well. So that's another key thing to have in your notes, that the nearby community was a similar system, did not have rust in the water, and that there was no fertilizer in the nearby community as well. So it seems like something unusual is causing the rust to form in Westfield's pipe. We need to investigate how the rust formed. So we have 3 claims here: that the pipes changed into rust, that the fertilizer changed into rust, or claim 3, that the pipe and the fertilizer changed into rust. So I want you to initially pick one of these 3 claims and type it into the text box as well. You're welcome to pause the video and add in my notes into your slide in addition to whatever notes you find important. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is slide 18, which is the modeling tool on how rust formed. the people of Westfield know there's rust in their water, but they still don't understand how it formed. What we're going to do is we're going to make a modeling tool to show how a reaction has taken place for Dr. Young, and understanding that rust formed from a chemical reaction. So you're going to click on the link here, and just a reminder, you have to be in presentation mode to open up the link. And when you're going to get to the modeling tool, and you're going to rearrange some of the material in your modeling tool. At the end of it, you're going to copy and paste the modeling tool into your Google slide. So I already have the modeling tool up and ready to go. So what I first want to do is my before. This is where I call my reactants. All right. So if you remember, my reactants include iron. All right. That's what makes up the pipe. Okay. And that's a repeating group of atoms here. And then the other thing is the fertilizer. All right. Now the fertilizer is known as sodium nitrate, NaNO3. So just slide those over here. So these are my reactants. Okay. At the end of my reactants, I have rust. All right. So I'm just going to click and drag rust over to the after side. So that is my product. Okay. Rust is my product. And here's my repeating groups of atoms. Notice that the sodium nitrate and the iron oxide, the fertilizer, and the rust, they're known as what we call an extended structure. So these molecules here are an extended structure. Okay. I'm going to have to like make my little bubble go away for a little bit. So, but I also have rust here. So I'm going to put this over here so I recognize that Fe2O3 is rust, and that my NaO3 is fertilizer. And then I'm going to pull my iron over by the iron here. All right, and let's see. Oh goodness, I'm gonna pause. All right, so now I'm gonna pay close attention to my reactants, and I'm gonna pay close attention to the molecules here. Notice that I have 2 atoms of iron on the product side, and there are 2 atoms of iron on the reactant side. I also have 1, 2, 3 atoms of oxygen on the product side, and 1, 2, 3 atoms of oxygen on the reactant side. So in the text box here, I want to describe what is happening, all right? And that's where I'm going to pull in key concept 5 and 6, okay? That the atoms of the reactants rearranged during a chemical reaction to produce rust as a product. All right. So somehow these atoms are rearranging themselves to form our product rust. So then at the end, I'm going to take a oh goodness, I don't know how to get rid of that. Oh well, I'm going to take a screenshot of this and insert it into my notebook here. Okay, all right, so now that I have that and I have my explanation, my little model here of what caused the rust to form, I'm going to go to my writing. All right, so this is again going to be another assessment piece. Okay, and we want to make sure that we're going to be using